If I told you there's a cure to your attachment style, leveling up your standards, gaining confidence, and enhancing the relationship that you have with yourself, would you believe me? Well, I might have the cure for you, and that is solo dating. Solo dating can actually transform your experience when it comes to gaining more confidence, enhancing the relationship with yourself, and even increasing your dating standards. Yep, you heard that right, girl. This video will be your 101 guide on how to solo date. Everything to do with what solo dating is, the benefits of it, going forward to solo date ideas on a budget and high end, and then going through a step-by-step guide on how you can implement solo dating into your life. Oh, and of course, tips and tricks at the very end. Grab a cute drink and let's jump right into the video. Chapter number 1. What is solo dating and why should we be doing it? Solo dating is just a fancy way of saying date yourself instead. So yes, taking yourself on dates similar to how you and a partner would go on dates or how you'd go on dates with your friends. But you'd be doing it alone. The purpose of solo dating is dedicating time and energy to being in your own space and being very mindful about the time that you spend with yourself. Sometimes we think we know ourselves, but in reality, we should actually know that we know ourselves. Solo dating just acts as a catalyst to really push ourselves out of the box and learn our dislikes, likes, and everything that just kind of makes us tick. From our favorite spots to eat, to what we really love to do in our free time, and just enjoying our own presence and understanding who we are as a person. As RuPaul said it, if you don't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? So that is what solo dating is gonna help us do. It's gonna help us enhance that beautiful relationship that we have with ourselves. Solo dating also helps you gain confidence, overcome anxiety, and really just come into your higher self, especially if you're sitting in a restaurant full of people and eating a meal all alone. It will teach you a thing or two about having self-confidence in situations like that. Solo dating also allows you to explore your love languages. It's an amazing way for you to give back to yourself on your self-love journey. And you'll love this one. Solo dating also increases your dating standards. As you continue to solo date and go through this process, you'll literally be like, why was I even tolerating half the stuff I did before when I'm able to provide this for myself? It really just raises your standards, makes you understand yourself better, and thus present better when you're meeting new people and getting into relationships. All right, moving on to chapter 2, solo date ideas. So here I've categorized solo dates between low budget, mid budget, and high budget for you. And you can basically navigate through these according to your budget and what just works for you. So in low budget, we have a movie night at home. And this can really just be you creating like a really cool spread of your favorite foods and watching one of your favorite movies. Pick something that just really brings out your inner child. Pick your favorite foods, light a candle, really romanticize your life, and enjoy the present moment. You could also just bake a fun dish. So go onto Pinterest and look at some cool recipes and give it a shot. A paint night with Netflix. So you could totally just get a canvas with some paintbrushes and paint while you're watching a cool Netflix show. Go for a walk around your neighborhood or go to a free community garden and just enjoy nature, be in the present moment, breathe all that fresh air, and just enjoy your own company. You could also go on a picnic. Make some cool foods and just, pack a blankie. Go to the beach and just sit down, maybe read and enjoy your own time with all the foods that you made for yourself. Visit a free community event. On Google, I want you to Google free community events. There must be some in your community and literally just go to them. This can be farmers markets, art museums. These can be so many different things that your community just offers entirely for free. So look into those and see which ones interest you and give them a shot. So now that the weather is getting better, you could totally plant your own garden or plant some flowers outside that you really love. So maybe take yourself to the store, buy some plants that you really like, and then plant them in your house for a solo date. That would be so fun. I should do that. Moving on to the mid-budget for solo dating. The first one being a shopping date. You could totally take yourself shopping. Now, a key here is to actually go window shopping instead of actually running errands. The point of solo dating is not to run errands. The point is to actually be there in the present moment with yourself and enjoy some time with yourself. So if you are going shopping, just keep that in mind. A movie date, maybe take yourself to the movies. I remember the first time I took myself to a movie, it was King Kong vs. Godzilla was the first movie that I went to go watch, and it was so nerve-wracking. But an amazing experience. I literally just sat there ate my popcorn, and laughed out loud without any care in the world. It was a fabulous solo date and I would do it again. I highly recommend. You could do lunch or dinner at a restaurant. A lot of restaurants will have summer meals where you get meals relatively cheap. And what you could do is go to those restaurants and just have a meal to yourself, sit there, be in the present moment, enjoy the food that you're eating. You could join a fitness class. It could be puppy yoga, bicycling, maybe a Pilates class. Go to the zoo or the science center or somewhere that you've always kind of wanted to visit that maybe you have visited in the past, but not by yourself. Visit the farmer's market. There's so many activities that you can do. So I know in my local farmer's market during June, there's strawberry picking, and then around August, there's peach picking. So there are many different types of activities that you can also do similar to that. Moving on to the high budget. You could go on a solo vacation. You could literally book a flight and fly yourself out to a new place and explore it all by yourself. Alternatively, you can take a train to your local city and just explore your local city as well. Maybe stay a night or two at a hotel and just enjoy that luxury. Experience a concert alone. Maybe there's an artist that's coming to your hometown and you just want to experience them. And if you're not interested in concerts, you could also do musicals. There's so many beautiful musicals that you could watch as well, so that might be a really great experience for you. Fine dining at a very high-end restaurant. Just enjoy a meal by yourself. Maybe there's a restaurant you've always wanted to go to and now you can make it extra special by taking yourself out on a date. A VIP movie theater experience. So this might also be super fun to watch one of your favorite movies in VIP, or it might be in D-Box, or maybe even in 3D. Why not? We used to do that a lot as kids, so why not as adults? A spa day at a resort. So maybe book a spa resort and have the whole day to yourself where you just enjoy all the amenities. Maybe book an experience. This can be pottery, maybe wine tasting, candle making, maybe making a perfume. I know that's been really popular lately. Maybe this is your cue to give that a shot. Honestly, solo dating can be really anything. It can be low end, it can be high end, mid range, it doesn't really matter. But what matters is the purpose behind your solo date. The purpose of solo dating is to be there in the present moment with yourself. Here's an example of the exact same two experiences, but one is a solo date and one is not. Here's our illustrated example. We have Linda. Linda's going to this really, really cute cafe and she's going to enjoy her favorite latte. But as she sits in the booth, she realizes, oh my gosh, I'm so bored. So I'm going to take out my phone, scroll through social media and see what I missed out on. So now Linda is doing that for 2 hours of being in this cafe. And then she leaves and she feels unfulfilled and she feels like solo dating is not for her. On the other hand, we have Susan. Susan goes to a cafe and orders her favorite chai tea latte. She sits in a booth that she selects specifically because she loves sunlight. Then what she does is pulls out her book and takes a few selfies of her experience, just so she can remember the first time that she went to a cafe for a solo date. She takes out a journal and starts journaling her thoughts about how she feels being on a solo date in a cafe. Susan then leaves the solo date feeling fulfilled and happy and very much in tune with her emotions and who she is as a person. Do you see the difference here? Linda went ahead and looked at her phone and did everything to distract herself from being alone. Susan, on the other hand, embraced it. And that is what I mean by solo dating. Solo dating has to be purposeful. We have to invest in the experience, invest in the feelings and emotions that go into it for you. Moving on to chapter number 3, how to get started with solo dating. This is for those of you that are scared of going on solo dates because you might fear what people will think about you or fear just the overall experience of doing something by yourself. Listen, I get it. Before I started solo dating, I was terrified of the experience of sitting alone in a restaurant, in the movies, in a cafe, or even just walking around the mall by myself. I would look around me and see couples and friends and families just all hanging out together, and I felt so self-conscious about why I didn't have people. But what I did was shift my mindset. I shifted my mindset from thinking I was lonely to realizing that I can create my own happiness. Here's your step-by-step guide if you thought like I did and you are scared of going on solo dates. Step number 1, you are going to get dressed. Put on a really cute outfit, get your hair and makeup all done as though you were going on a date with someone else. If you were going out with your boyfriend, if you were going out with your friend, what would you look like? If you don't have a boyfriend, if you did have a boyfriend, what would you look like? You would look fabulous, right? So you're gonna look like that for yourself as well. Also, looking nice will increase your confidence when it comes to solo dating, so I highly recommend you do this. Step number 2, what your solo date is actually going to be. Now, I recommend for the first solo date to really acclimate you to the environment of doing something by yourself is to pick something relatively simple. So this can be either walking in a mall, walking through a bookstore if you like books, or going to a free art museum. What I personally would recommend for somebody just starting to solo date is to go to the mall. Go to a place where there's enough single and coupled up and family public people, because this is going to allow you to really mesh in with that audience and not feel too self-conscious when you're there. Next, what you're going to do is pick up a really huge drink. So pick up something that you love, and this can be a warm drink, a cold drink, whatever just makes you happy. Now, when you're on your actual solo date, sip your drink, walk around, and be in the present moment. Enjoy the time that you have with yourself and ask yourself the questions. How do I feel right now? What am I really enjoying about this experience? How was my day today? Do I like my drink, or do I want to try something more spontaneous next time? And once you have done this a few times by acclimating yourself with these easier solo dates, you can then take yourself on other solo dates, whether that be a picnic or going to the movies by yourself, or ultimately even eating food in a restaurant all by yourself. Moving on to chapter number 4, the tips and tricks. All right, first we're gonna talk about overcoming criticism and how to do that when you're on solo dates. This was my greatest fear when it came to solo dating, was what other people would think about me. I'm gonna tell you one thing, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what other people think of you when you're on solo dates. Let's think about the worst case scenario. That would be somebody literally making fun of you for sitting at the movies by yourself. And believe it or not, it happened to me. I remember asking the person for one ticket, and they looked at me and they were like, "Only one?" And I was like, "Yeah, only one ticket, please." And I still remember the feeling of being criticized and judged by somebody for just trying to do something for myself. However, what I learned from the situation was that it doesn't matter what people think about you, because I sure as hell enjoyed that movie. And I came out of that movie theater recognizing one thing. All that matters is that you are having a good time. People are not going to understand how much joy solo dates can bring to them until they actually solo date. So if you are taking the necessary steps to take yourself on a solo date and somebody is judging you, that's unfortunate for them, because you're enhancing the most meaningful relationship that you will ever have in your life, and that is with yourself. So if you are on a solo date and somebody says something to you, or you feel self-conscious about people looking at you and criticizing you, I want you to remember there is so much strength and resilience that comes with that, so I want you to keep that in mind when you're on solo dates. And recognize that you're doing this for you, and that's all that matters. I promise you, over time, as you continue to solo date and put yourself into those situations, you won't even feel it anymore. You'll be in a restaurant eating by yourself, and even if people do look at you, you'll just be like, "Oh, okay," acknowledged and moving forward. The next tip and trick has to do with feeling out of place. Now, I know those ones where you're in a public space and you're there eating food by yourself and everybody else is coupled up. Believe it or not, I actually took myself for lunch on Valentine's Day. Yes, the day of couples. But I made it a solo date Valentine's Day, where I did everything just for myself to be in the present moment and build that beautiful relationship with myself. And I want you to recognize here, when you see other couples enjoying dates and you're not in a couple, it doesn't matter, because you still deserve to feel that level of happiness even if you're not in a couple. There was actually this really great quote by Vex King that stuck with me. And the quote read, "Single doesn't mean lonely, and being in a relationship doesn't mean loved." And that stuck with me because I recognize that going on a solo date doesn't mean you're lonely. It just means that you're willing to spend time with yourself and build that relationship with yourself. And that's not loneliness. That's love. You have the power to transform your mindset when it comes to thinking about solo dates. And my last tip and trick is solo dating even when you're in a relationship. Yes, you heard me clear. Solo dating while you're in a relationship is still necessary. Because if we think about it, what happens to you when you're in a relationship? You're still there, right? So you need to also tailor to yourself when you're in a relationship. Being in a relationship does not mean you no longer get to spend time alone. Yes, of course, your time is going to be devoted to many different things, but that doesn't mean that you're no longer a priority. If we think about it, in relationships nowadays, it's so easy to get lost in your partner and get lost in what you truly love for yourself because you're so tied to your partner. But solo dating just allows you to have a moment to yourself to recognize what really makes you happy. You know that whole concept about like the red glasses and seeing like red No, it was pink colored glasses and how when you have that on, you don't see red flags. Well, if you solo date, you're gonna have time to yourself. So you can ask yourself questions about your relationship and really dig deep into if you're really happy with the person that you're with. Now, moving to the more optimistic part of solo dating and relationships is that with solo dating, you're gonna learn more about yourself so you can share that with your partner and cultivate and grow a beautiful relationship together. Alright, so that is all for our video today on solo dating. I hope this was a very comprehensive guide that really went through all of the nitty-gritty of everything you've been wondering about solo dates, also providing you with some solo date ideas and just a how-to get started guide. I believe in you, I know you can do it, and I'll see you next time.